Okay, I got more books. More books. Massive pile in front of me. Um, this is basically part two of my haul that I went on, or that I made a video about a couple of days ago, the Princeton University Press haul. I said it was my most anticipated haul of the year because I wait every year for Princeton University Press and Yale University Press to have 50% off sales, and then I go crazy and buy a bunch of books from them. So I did the Princeton University Press haul that came in a couple of days ago, and I made a video about it. I now have the Yale University Press stuff in front of me. This came in last night, so I did unbox it already. But it works out because I've got a ton of other books from a ton of other different places in front of me. So I just kind of wanted to go over everything right now in one big pile. The first two are books that people sent me. I got this. This is Morality Play by Barry Unsworth. I sent this person one of my books, and then they sent me this in return, which was super nice. And then I mentioned in a video that I was unhappy with a lot of the physical editions of the Scarlet Letter that I had come across in my life. And some person was like, hey, I've got this dope edition of the Scarlet Letter, and I think he said he had two of them. So he's like, do you want the other one? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So he sent it to me, and it's amazing. This is the slipcase. So it's got a slipcase. It comes out, and then look at this. It's got two pieces to it. So then it comes out of this thing, this like little caddy with the name Scarlet Letter on it, and then we're faced with the actual book, which is amazingly understated. I mean, it's just black, and then we have the A on it, and this is the best rendering of the actual Scarlet Letter I think I've ever seen. Namely because, one, it actually looks like a badge that you'd sew because it doesn't have any of like the gaps in the actual A. Like, it actually looks like a piece of cloth. And B, it is scarlet, but it's also got that gold embellishments, those gold embellishments on it, which for some reason every edition of the Scarlet Letter seems to forget. The A is scarlet, of course, but Hester Prynne puts gold accents all over it and makes it into a fashion statement. And that's like the whole point. So it's just annoying to me when I see all these editions of the Scarlet Letter and they're just red. That gold is a super important component of it, and this one has it, which I think is wonderful. And then the book itself is so weird and interesting. I was looking it up. This says it's from the it says here the Libra collection. I really don't know what that means. I think I saw one other book that was the Libra collection, but I don't know any other. I didn't see any other things. The pages are blue, which is super interesting. Every single page on the right side has a stamp, has that Scarlet Letter stamp on it, which is amazing. I mean, I don't know why, but I love it. And then it's got these drawings throughout as well. Look at this one. I mean, my goodness. Amazing, amazing. The artist in question here is somebody by the name of, I was looking them up. Their work is incredible, but I had never heard of them before. Jacob Landau. Never heard of Jacob Landau, but I was looking at his stuff and I was like, "Wow, this is amazing." So really, really cool. And then one of the coolest and most unique parts of this book is, I won't show all the drawings, but one of the most unique parts of this is this publisher's note at the beginning. I won't read the whole thing, but the concluding paragraph of this publisher's note is, "The Custom House is omitted from this edition in the belief that its inclusion detracts from the integrity of the Scarlet Letter and is indeed a, quote, detriment to the book as a work of art. In opposing our judgment to Hawthorne's, we take account of the fact that his was based on personal rather than literary considerations." And so they justify that in some of the two previous paragraphs. But I thought that was super interesting because the Custom House is, I mean, admittedly, not essential to the text. at all. If you're teaching the Scarlet Letter to students, I don't know why you would force them to read the Custom House. I mean, they probably don't want to read much of anything, so I would probably excise that if I were teaching it to a group of students. I personally don't mind reading it at all. But I think it's really cool to have an edition of the Scarlet Letter that doesn't have the Custom House in it. I think that's really fun, actually. So anyway, thank you to the person who sent this to me. That's awesome. Please don't send me any more books. I have enough. If you want to send me something... what should I ask for? Jewelry. Your cheapest, most neglected jewelry. If you've got a bunch of jewelry laying around that you don't want, send it to me. I'll find a home for it. But anyway, yeah, don't send me any more books because I've got more than I know what to do with. But thank you to the people who have been sending me books because every single package has been a treat to open. Anyway, I also have like 4 other books to talk about that I got recently, 3 or 4 other books that I got recently that I just wanted to mention before I get into the Yale University Press stuff. I got the Selected Journals and Other Writings of James John Audubon. This is... I have a biography that I hauled pretty recently, like a month ago, on John James Audubon. And so I thought it was cool that I could get some of his actual written material separately to kind of pair with that biography that I have of him. And it was like $3, so I was like in the clearance section of my half-price books. Then I joined the leagues of all the other cool people who have this volume, the Saga of the Icelanders, put out in this amazing Penguin Deluxe edition with these French flaps and the deckled edges. I've seen many people hold this up before, and I got it for a steal at my local half-price books, and it is in perfect condition. So I've been looking for this for a while, and I was super happy that they had it. And they actually had 2 copies, and one was completely beat up, but this one was like in perfect condition. And then I got this. This is Zadie Smith's Grand Union, a collection of her stories. Guess where I got this? I don't think you'll ever guess. It was at a Dollar General, and it was for $1.25. And I've never read Zadie Smith before. I know of her because of White Teeth, which I think was her debut novel. I think it made quite a stir when it came out, whether it was her debut or not. And I know about it because I was reading a lot of experimental and sort of like literary postmodernist fiction, and that book came up a lot, and I have yet to read it. I am not so interested in that type of literature anymore, but I'm still interested in reading White Teeth, and for $1.25 I thought I'd get Grand Union stories as well. So I'll keep my eye out for White Teeth, and I will read this at some point as well. Anyway, this is now the pile of Yale University Press stuff that I got. The stuff that I got from Princeton was much more diverse in terms of subject matter, in terms of like what I'm interested in and what I like to read about. This is much more circumscribed around like my individual interests that I'm aware of, so that like are more idiomatic to me. So the first one is a biography of John Calvin by Bruce Gordon. I believe this is the best. I've heard that this is the best English language biography of John Calvin. I don't know if that's true, but I do know that of at least 2 other English language biographies of Calvin, all 3 of these have the exact same cover. All of them have this picture of John Calvin on it with just Calvin's name and then the author's name underneath it, which I think is very funny because we don't have many pictures of John Calvin. And in fact, I knew the story behind this portrait and I've forgotten it, but it is very apropos, I think, because it is dark and austere, and the man in question was a very austere serious individual, and that's definitely the kind of person that comes through on this portrait, I think. So it works out. Then we've got Roland Hutton, the Witch. This is a name that's going to come up a bunch in this haul. Roland Hutton, a brief history of fear from ancient times to the present. I've got 2 other books about witches on a list of mine, a TBR list of mine that I have on my phone. So I would like to get those other 2 volumes on witches, and then pair them with this one, and then like dedicate a week to reading about witches. I think that would be a lot of fun, because I do love reading about the Reformation so much, and the concept of the witch, the fear related to witch hunting. And sort of the a witch mania is associated with the Reformation, and it is in fact one of the major critiques against someone like Max Weber's thesis that the Protestant Reformation disenchanted the world, because incidentally, during this quote-unquote disenchantment, fear of supernatural things like witches was actually on the rise rather than on the decrease. So anyway, very interesting subject to read about, and I've been to Salem, Massachusetts. I liked it. So then we've got Roland Hutton again. This is his first volume of 2 volumes on Oliver Cromwell. This is the making of Oliver Cromwell. I don't have the second volume here. If I like this, I'll pick it up at some point, but I just got the first volume for now. Oliver Cromwell is another figure that shows up in all of my readings on the Reformation. And every time his name comes up and what he did and what his involvement was politically and whatnot, my eyes sort of glaze over. I don't know if it's because I'm not interested, or because there's too many names involved, or because I don't know what it is. I just have not been able to put my finger quite on this figure, what his role in history was, and what is so remarkable about him. So I really wanted to treat him specifically, and not just within a larger context of a discussion that I know more about. I wanted to just like look at him individually and read a biography just of him. So 2 volumes of this biography. I feel like this is as good a place as any to get started on reading him. So I got that as well. And then we've got, this is probably the book that I'm looking forward to the most in this haul. This is The Dissolution of the Monasteries by James G. Clark. This came out a couple of years ago, but not too many. When did this come out? Yeah, 2021. Or first published, 2021, and then it came out in this paperback in 2022. We got a quote from Eamon Duffy on the cover, which makes sense. That's a good... we got Dan Jones on the back, too. That's funny. Okay. Yeah, and so The Dissolution of the Monasteries is a massive and extremely interesting subject related to the Reformation. King Henry VIII basically reappropriating monastic property and monastic land to basically be ceded to the crown, and to basically use to line King Henry VIII's pockets, and to do with what he will. I thought it was really, really interesting because I was reading recently in Lyndall Roper's a book on the German Peasants' War, just the antagonism, the utter antagonism and antipathy that the monasteries had for the peasants in Germany, and the peasants had for the monasteries, and how much those monasteries actually, in very real and tangible ways, negatively affected the peasants' lives. And so when they started to mobilize, and when they started to become violent and take up arms, the monasteries were their first targets. Because monasteries were also resource rich, as King Henry VIII was about to find out as well. And so they were basically able to move from monastery to monastery to monastery, either burning the place to the ground or just basically stripping it of everything of value, so that they could keep moving. And it was fascinating to read, and I've always been interested on the English aspect of monasteries as well. I just love reading about monasteries just in general. I always have, and this is one of the most interesting times in the history of monastic communities, because it's when their reputation is basically the lowest it'll ever get. I mean, it is in the toilet at the time of the Protestant Reformation. So anyway, we'll move on before I keep going on a rant. Then we've got, this is the one and only book I think in this stack that was a wild card pick. I just saw it, thought it looked interesting, and I really know nothing about it. This is The Origins of Victory: How Disruptive Military Innovation Determines the Fates of Great Powers by Andrew Krepenovich Jr. Not much in the way of detail on this. I was looking to see if I could get any more information about it on the back here, but all it says is military strategist Andrew F. Krepenovich Jr. offers the definitive take on how and why the character of warfare is changing so dramatically and how military organizations can best adapt to these developments. Seems interesting, might be really disappointing. I have no idea where this author is coming from or what his points are going to be, but I'm sure that I will learn something if I commit myself to reading it, so we'll see about that. And then the last two, we're back on track with God's Armed Prophet, Zwingli, by Bruce Gordon, the same person who wrote that biography of John Calvin. Zwingli is another Reformation figure, kind of like Oliver Cromwell, that I'm not so comfortable with. There's Thomas Müntzer, who I feel like I know pretty well. There's Philip Melanchthon, who I love. There's obviously Martin Luther. There's John Calvin. There's Erasmus. There's all of these Reformation figures. Zwingli is a bit of an enigma for me. So when I saw that there was a Bruce Gordon biography of him, and this also came out relatively recently. This came out because there was another book put up on Zwingli pretty recently as well, 2021. And when I saw this, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna get this. And we've got a quote by Lyndall Roper and Carlos Eyre on it. So those are two really great writers on the Reformation. So happy to have that. And then we've got this really nice. It was way too expensive, but this is a really nice hardcover. The Fall: Last Days of the English Republic by Henry Rees. And then we also have a Roland Hutton quote on this: the best narrative history to date. And if I'm just going to read the inside here real quick. Why did England's one experiment in republicanism fail? By 1658, when Oliver Cromwell died, England had been a republic for 9 years. It had conquered Ireland and Scotland, seen off threats of royalist invasion, and established stable government under the Protectorate. By 1660, a king was back on the throne. The Republic's last 2 years witnessed turmoil and confusion unparalleled in English history. There were close to 10 changes of government. Rival armies of Englishmen faced each other across the Scottish border, and the Long Parliament was finally dissolved. Why was this period so turbulent, and why did the Republic, even though backed by a formidable standing army, come crashing down? In this revolutionary history, Henry Rees explores the full story of the English Republic's spectacular downfall. Rees argues that the restoration of the monarchy was far from inevitable, and that the Republican regime could have survived. Richard Cromwell's Protectorate had deep roots in the political nation. The Rump Parliament mobilized its supporters impressively, and the country showed little interest in returning to the old order until the Republic collapsed. So interesting, and another book that references Oliver Cromwell. So happy to have all of these. I'm not going to hold them up because there's too many here, but that's going to be my haul. I've been going on a lot of hauls recently because there are just so many great sales that are going on, and there's going to be another one starting tomorrow at my local half-price books. Although it is not a big blowout 50% sale by any means, but I will have to, just out of curiosity, check out what they have there and what kind of deals I can score. But that'll be it for today. Thank you for sticking through that. And I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.